Hello and welcome to this recorded training on reporting your Violence Against Women Act grant-funded activities. This overview of semi-annual performance reporting includes an introduction to us here at the VAWA Measuring Effectiveness Initiative, or VAWA MEI. We here at VAWA MEI are your partners in performance reporting. Our mission is to support the Office on Violence Against Women and OVW grantees with performance reporting, and we do this through offering training and technical assistance opportunities and developing tools and resources designed to provide grantees with the skills, the tools, the knowledge, and resources needed to demonstrate the impact, effectiveness, and the value of VAWA-funded programs. And what this means is one part of our work is that we collect, process, and report on data from thousands of OVW grantees. And the other part is that we support grantees in completing their semi-annual performance reports. We do this through presentations like this one, as well as through direct technical assistance by phone or by email. And we also do this through creation of tools and resources that are available to you on our website. One thing we like to note is that MEI is not a part of Just Grants, nor are we OVW staff. MEI is a VAWA-funded technical assistance provider. So what that means is that we are an OVW grantee ourselves, here to support you in reporting your grant-funded activities. What we'll cover today. We'll start with a brief overview of the data reporting cycle. Then we'll focus today on how to access, fill out, and submit a semi-annual performance report within the Impact tool. We will provide some general tips for performance reporting. And finally, we'll go over where you can go for help and support with these performance reports. Let's begin with an overview of the overall reporting cycle. Once you receive an OVW grant, it is your responsibility as a federal grantee to submit the data on your funded program. Every 6 months, grantees create their semi-annual performance report in the web-based Impact tool, and then submit a PDF version of this completed report into their Just Grants Systems account. Once the data is submitted in Just Grants, it is next reviewed by your OVW grant manager. They'll look at every aspect of the report that's been submitted by all of the VAWA grantees. They might contact you during this review, and if they do, it's because they have a question about your report, or it's to ask you to make a change. If you get a change request, you will need to go back into your form in the Impact tool to make these updates. Once grant managers have approved their reports, they release the information back to VAWA MEI for what we call data processing. We review the data and prepare it so that it is ready for reports for OVW. At this point, we're able to create these reports for OVW that summarizes the data that is reported within each discretionary grant program and within each formula program. I would like to talk a little bit now about what performance reporting looks like for you as grantees specifically. The Impact tool, which stands for Indicators, Measurements, Performance, Achievements, Challenges, Technical Assistance, is OVW's web-based performance reporting system. This tool, that launched in early 2025 with the goal of making performance reporting as smooth and user-friendly as possible, is available to all VAWA-funded grantees. Grantees use the VAWA Impact tool to prepare their semi-annual performance reports, which are then downloaded. This downloaded report is then submitted to OVW through the Just Grants system. Performance reports are due twice a year, in January and in July. Specifically, performance reports are due in Just Grants by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on January 30th and on July 30th. For you as a grantee, the Impact reporting process is a 5-step process. First, you're going to access your reporting form link from the VAWA MEI website. This will be sent to grantees by VAWA MEI in an email, but you can also access the link directly at any time through our website. Start a new report in the Impact tool. Complete all sections, validate the entries, and finalize the report. You'll then download the finalized report as a PDF, and then you'll upload your report into Just Grants. Now I'm going to take some time to go into the impact tool itself so that I can walk you through what it looks like, how to use all the different features, and complete a report.
So the first question you may have is, how do I find my report? Well, VAWA MEI will send out emails at the beginning of each reporting period where individual links are sent. The example I'm showing on the screen right now is the link that will be sent for the rural performance report. However, this particular link is something that you can get to in multiple ways even without that email. At any time during the year, you can go to the VAWA Measuring Effectiveness Initiative homepage. And on this page, you will see that there is an icon in the lower left saying Impact Tool Links. If you click on that, you're brought to a page where you can go and you can find the program that you are looking for. Click on Search and then scroll down and you'll see you can be brought to the Rural Performance Impact link. This is the same page we just were showing you a moment ago. The other way that you can get to this same location is through your grant programs page. This is actually the one I recommend because this is a page that brings you together with all of the resources for your program. So I just scrolled down and clicked on the rural program link. And here is the page. And you see that there's an overview. There's some information about semi-annual reporting. There are forms and instructions, trainings, reporting tools and resources. There are FAQs. You can link through, scroll down here, or you can click on any of these on the menu. We're going to click on the forms and instructions, and that brings you right back to that same Rural Performance Report impact link. So this is ultimately the page that you want to get to anytime you either want to start a new report or have lost your URL and you want to get back to a report that you've already submitted. But each reporting period, you need to start a new report from scratch. So we're going to click on this link. And this is going to bring us to the introductory page. We are now actually in the impact tool itself, and this is the home page for the rural program. Please read these instructions. It'll give you a little bit of information about how to utilize this reporting form. And then when you get down to the bottom, you can click on Start a New Report, or if you are in the middle of a report and you haven't completed it and you don't have your hands on your link, you can put the email in here and click on Find My Report, and you will be sent an email with that unique URL. The one thing I will point out is this has to be the email that was put into the report to begin with. But since we have not yet started a report, I will click on Start a New Report. So here we are in the opening page for this. This is the general information page. And you'll see that all of these questions must be answered. There's an asterisk next to each one of them, and that means that they're all mandatory questions. So we can go through and fill out the information on these questions. A couple things that I would point out is that the recurrent reporting period is the 6-month period that you are reporting on. So it may be in a different year than you're actually in currently, but it is the one that you are going to be reporting on. And the current reporting period year is the 4-digit year. So this is July to December of 2025 that I'm reporting on. You'll want to add your grantee name and then go on to the grant number. So the grant number, we give a couple of examples here about what they should look like. If you don't know what your grant program is, what your grant project number is, I recommend that you go to Just Grants and look up there what you have. You will see a number that looks very similar to one of these two examples. Please copy and paste it into here. We want it to be an exact replica, dashes and all, so that we can match it up to the reports that are in Just Grants. Once you have done that, you will decide if you have a final report or a regular report. It's almost always going to be a regular report, and it will be this time. If this is the last report for a grant that you have, you will click Final, and you'll have one extra question to answer at the end. But for the majority of the time, we'll have just the regular. And then we're going to put in our point of contact. And I just filled this in very quickly, and I'm now going to just do my email that I want to have on file as my official email address. So when I click Save and Continue after filling out this entire first page, what happens is I get a URL that is a unique URL to my progress report. It's individualized to the project report that I'm filling out. So it's really important to make a copy of this. Just click Copy and then bring up a Word document or an Excel document and click on and save that URL so you can get back to it. Once you've done that, you can click on Continue, and now you are back at this first page that you just filled out, but you have the opportunity now to go to the next pages. So I'm going to click Save and go to the next page. And it's here that we will be filling out the rest of the progress report. There's a few different ways you can navigate on your way through this. One way is that you can navigate through this left menu. If I'm not ready to answer some of these general questions, I can say, you know what I do know is that we did not do anything with prosecution funds. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to skip ahead and say no to these. That way I know they're out of the way and I can get back to the ones that I have to work on later. So that's one way that you can navigate around. The one thing I will say is that when you answer any question, you always have to go and save and go to the next page. If you don't, you will see, I'll show you later what happens. You'll have a pop-up that says you have to save. You've forgotten to save. So that's one way that you can navigate around. The other way, I was literally just showing you, is by going through the bottom of each page where there's a save and go to previous page, save and go to the next page, or save progress and continue later. So here, if you click on save progress and continue later, you will see that the URL pops up again. This is the same URL as before, but if you haven't saved it prior to this, you want to save it now, and so that you always have this to go. And then once you have clicked on that, you can close out of this and come back later. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to continue on in this one. The other interesting thing to point out around navigating is that each one of these sections has its own URL. So if I wanted to share with either somebody in my own colleague, my own team, or an MOU partner and say, can you fill out the specialized unit section, I can copy this up at the top, and then I can add it here and send it to them in an email, and when they click on it, they will be brought back to the same report, but they're brought back right to that specialized unit section. So that is a really great resource to know, because you can have multiple people working on this at the same time, and as long as you're not working on the exact same section and the exact same question at the same time, you'll be able to have saving the information going on simultaneously. Another thing to know about the progress reports in the impact tool is that there are some questions that are mandatory and some that are optional. I talked about that at the beginning of this. There's also sections that are mandatory and optional. So for example, the staff section is a section that's an optional section. I can click no, and then they're not going to ask me any questions about staff. But if I click on yes, it will open up questions that I need to answer. Now within the staff section, there are questions that I have to answer, and this is one of them. I can't go to the next page. The total has to be bigger than 0. And so that's a mandatory question within that section. However, the narrative for the staff is not required. That's not mandatory. I can fill this out, but if I don't, I still have to click save and go to the next page to get past this optional question, but it is optional. The other thing is that there are mandatory sections. So we just said staff was actually an optional section. Well, a mandatory section is coordinated community response, meaning that all grantees are going to need to fill out this particular question in the form. This is one I like to give as an example because if you haven't started using your funds, if you're a new grantee and your budget hasn't been approved, for example, you're still going to need to fill out the progress report, and so you'll need to fill out these mandatory sections. So what we ask you to do for this, in order to validate this form, you have to have something in here. And so there is an other where you can say no funds used, and then you do need to click on a box or two. And then that is going to allow this to be validated and to move on, even though you said your budget hasn't been approved. So that's the difference between mandatory sections and mandatory questions and optional questions and sections. Now, all of these resources that allow you to know what's happening, what questions are mandatory or what is optional, are all made available through coding that makes sure specific requirements are met before the report can be validated and completed. So these validation checks, they actively happen while you are entering data into the report. So for example, these validation errors are indicated in a few ways. A yellow exclamation point is telling you, oh, something has to happen in the general information. It's not complete. However, staff, I'm good. I can keep moving on, and that's not a problem. If I go to the general information and something is not complete, I will be informed about it through a red message. So I'm going to just go through and say no to all of these questions that are not mandatory or that are mandatory. But I'm going to say yes to other languages and then try to save and go. Here's a validation that pops up to let me know that this is required if I say yes to this question. If I say no, however, I can save and move on to the next page. The other way to know what remains to be done, another validation message that you can get, is when you get all the way down to the end and you click on validate and complete. It will pop up with all of the sections that have work remaining in them. And so you likely wouldn't get to this far and have this many sections that need work. So I'll give you an example of what this looks like when you have fewer sections that you need to fill out. Okay, so I just clicked on this report, and you'll see that this report has almost all green check marks, meaning I'm in good shape. But I sent that link over to my partners with the specialized units, and nothing has happened so far. So that has the yellow exclamation point. So if I try to go and validate this form, what's going to pop up is only the specialized units section. That's the one that's going to tell us that's the only thing you need to work on in order to get this complete. So you click on that, and we're just going to say, yes, we did some work, and that work was all in the law enforcement section. And then if I click and save, then I'm going to see that I can go to validate, and now I have a brand new screen. All of the sections are validated. Everything has been met so that now it's ready for the final review and the creation of the PDF. So you'll want to read through this page because it does give you some good information about the next steps and how to finish out the process of completing your report. The first thing that you'll need to do is click on this final review button. What this is going to do, it's going to bring you through every single page of the report and have you stop and review it. So this is going to take you a little bit of time, but it gives you the opportunity to make sure that everything you've said is actually what you meant to say. So you need to go through and scroll and click go to next page on every page. The other thing that this is doing is actually taking snapshots of your report in order to create the PDF. So it does take a bit of time, but there are multiple reasons that we want you to go through and click on every single page. Now I'm going to skip ahead so that you don't have to watch me do the whole thing, and we'll be right back when I get to the end. Okay, so I've just completed, and I'm going to click on the final save and go to next page. And I see that I get a message, congratulations, I've met all the validation requirements, and now I'm ready to complete my report. So now I have a complete button that has popped up. So when I click on this, it's going to take me to a page with a link that's going to download to my performance report. And it's going to download this PDF so that I can save it in a place where it's going to be safe and I can have it for my records. I'm also going to get emailed at the same time the link to return to this report in case I need to make any changes to it. So I'll show you that right here, hitting complete. Here is the final page. You absolutely need to download this report. So I will do that now as I'm talking. And it'll bring you to the PDF of everything that we just reported on. Make sure you save this to your hard drive so that you can then go to Just Grants and upload it. But you can also go back to the same page and you can view and make edits. Now, once you have submitted your report to OVW through Just Grants, they're going to do some reviews of it and they may contact you and ask you to make changes to it. If they do, this is the link that you want to use to do that. And so you can go back to the email that was sent to you. You can go back to this page. If you click on this, it's going to ask you, do you really want to open this up again? And if you do, you click confirm editing and it'll open up your report so that you can make changes and then go through the process of validating, creating the PDF and reviewing it. And that's pretty much the synopsis of how to use the impact tool and fill out, review, submit, complete your report.
Okay, so now that you've seen inside the impact tool, just a reminder of the steps to start the process. First, you're going to access the URL link to your grant program's blank reporting form either through an email that MEI will send you or by going to the MEI website. You'll start out a blank performance report on the impact tool, and once you complete the first page and enter your contact information, the system will generate a new URL that is unique to your report. And you will then save this new unique URL and use it to return to your report if you wish to continue at a later time. This unique URL can be shared within your organization so that more than one person can access and fill out your report. In the second step, you'll fill out your performance report in the impact tool. The reporting form consists of multiple sections to cover various areas of grant-funded activities. When you are completing your report, remember that you need to complete all mandatory sections and any additional sections related to your grant-funded activities. Remember, the form allows you to save your progress when entering data and come back later. It allows you to jump back and forth between sections, and the form has built-in data validations that will flag issues in the reported data if there are any. And finally, very important, when you have completed your report in the impact tool, you are not done yet. When your report is final, the impact tool will generate a PDF version of your performance report, and you will need to download that impact tool report. And that brings us to the third step, submitting your performance report into Just Grants. Once you have downloaded and saved your PDF, you will need to upload it as an attachment in your Just Grants account so that your OVW grant manager can start reviewing your report. Please note that your report is only submitted when it has been uploaded into your Just Grants account. As you are completing your performance reports, remember that there are program-specific resources available to you on the VAWA MEI website. Visit vawamei.org and go to your grant program, which is located under the Grant Programs tab. Use the left side menu to find the forms and instructions, and there you can find sample forms, detailed instructions, and many other resources that will help you in completing your performance reports. You can find your reporting link in a couple different ways. One way is through the home page of the VAWA MEI website and find the link there. Also, you can go to your grant program page and click on Performance Report Impact Link. One question we get often is, what do I do if my budget has not yet been approved? Please note that grantees are required to submit a performance report every period, even if you have not begun using funds. And this is regardless of the status of your budget approval. So for those grantees that are in this situation, you'll start a report in the impact tool. And since you have not yet begun using your grant funds, you only need to complete the mandatory sections of the form. The reporting form indicates which sections are mandatory by either having the note that says this question is required, or you'll see an asterisk next to the question. In general, the mandatory sections include the general grant information, the minimum requirements section, if there is one, the coordinated community response section, if there is one, and the various narrative questions throughout the forms. In the mandatory narrative questions, you can write that your program has not yet received budget approval. And for more detailed information on reporting when your budget has not yet been approved, visit the VAWA MEI website and look under Tools and Resources. Responding to a change request. First of all, what is a change request? This is a formal communication from your grant manager asking you to review or update your submitted performance report to ensure that it meets specific expectations or requirements. Your grant manager may directly communicate with you about this, and they'll do a request through Just Grants. If your grant manager requests changes to your performance report, you are required to access your original submission in the impact tool, apply the necessary revisions, generate a new PDF, and then upload that PDF report into Just Grants. And again, if you want more detailed information on responding to change requests, please visit the VAWA MEI website. And again, you're going to look under Tools and Resources. There's a few things we like to say in general when you're talking about preparing for reporting. Many of these resources that I'll talk about are on the VAWA MEI website, and the best place to start is to visit your grant program's homepage. Here you can access sample performance reports that include all of the questions that you'll be answering, and will also be able to get instructions that are program specific. Please note that these sample forms are not fillable and cannot be submitted into Just Grants, but they are very comprehensive and you can review the questions that you'll be needing to report on ahead of time. There are also Excel sheets that we call data catalogs that you can download to help you compile your information before you fill out your impact tool form. We also hold additional webinars each season on reporting victim services or staff numbers, among other topics. We have links to register for these webinars that can also be accessed through your grant page. And there you can also find recordings of previous webinars. And finally, you can always contact us directly with any questions about accessing your reporting form or any questions about what these reporting questions mean. Beyond the logistics of performance reporting that we've now talked about, we also want to briefly touch on the actual content of the performance reports and how to successfully and accurately report your data. The most important guiding principle that you should always remember is only report on OVW grant-funded activities and staff. No more, no less. Most organizations will have multiple funding streams, and the reporting form is meant to capture the slice of your work that is funded by OVW. So please report on all activities and staff that were funded with your OVW grant, but do not include activities or staff that were funded by other means. You can use optional narrative questions to provide more detail or to explain data as well as discuss successes and challenges. By using the narrative questions to discuss the data you report in the boxes, you're providing much more context to the numbers, and this helps both your grant manager as well as MEI when we're reviewing your data. And finally, access those resources that I talked about and those recordings, and certainly reach out for one-on-one technical assistance when you come to need it. As you are filling out your report, you may have questions, and it's a good thing to know who to call for help. If you have questions or need technical support with your Just Grants accounts, please reach out to Just Grants OVW support, either by phone or by email. Their phone number is 1-866-655-4482. Their email is ovw.justgrantsupport@usdoj.gov. You can also visit their website for more information. If you need to verify grant-supported activities, or if you need approval for products or deliverables, or if you can't submit your performance report by the deadline, please contact your OVW grant manager. It is imperative to keep them in the loop about all of these things, and they are the ones that are able to provide approval and support and clarity on what your specific grant is funded to do. And finally, for technical and logistical support using the VAWA Impact tool, if you have questions on the content of the reporting form, if you want to better understand what a question means, or if you'd like to receive technical assistance directly from VAWA MEI, please contact us. You can contact us by calling 1-800-922-8292 or emailing us at vawamei@maine.edu, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for reviewing this video. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are here to help.